Hello, I'm John Felt. This is the weekly water outlook for March 3rd, 2013. Well, here's the precipitation across the nation over the last week. Most of the nation, it was a pretty quiet week, very uneventful as far as precipitation, and large parts of the nation did not receive any significant rain or snow. On the other hand, there were a couple hot spots, as is always the case. I'd like to point these out here. The one area which has been sort of an active and developing snow track has been from northwest Texas across Oklahoma into parts of Missouri. Another one has been over the southeast U.S. where there's been significant drought relief, especially over parts of Georgia. So even though it's pretty quiet last week, there were some spots where it was quite active. We can see that in percent of normal precipitation. The red is well below normal rainfall or snow, and you can see the northern plains, the Dakotas, and Minnesota, which has been sort of an active hotspot as far as snow, was very quiet last week. Now that's going to change this week, but last week it was very quiet, as well as parts of the southwest U.S. as Texas. But you can see that above normal area precipitation in the form of snow over northwest Texas, Oklahoma, parts of Kansas into Missouri, and also over the southeast U.S. and northwest parts of Florida, far south Georgia, with above normal precipitation. In that area, you might recall the first image that I showed received over 5 inches of rain. Now, snow was very heavy over the last week, which is not all that unusual this time of year. The blue dots represent over a foot of snow. The darker blue, over 15 inches of snow. And if you look closely, there are a couple areas of the purple embedded in there, and that's about 18 inches of snow. So very heavy snow, over a foot of snow from northwest Texas, as I mentioned, up into the parts of the Midwest here. And that's been sort of an active track. And as often the case this time of year, we get these established tracks and areas of low pressure. Many times, once they start developing, they're going to run right along the edge of that snowpack if it becomes deep enough. And now parts of Kansas and Missouri, I believe it is, and that's something to be watched over the next 3 to 4 weeks if we do see additional paths of low pressure move along that snowpack. Now, the water equivalent of snow over the northern U.S., the purple there, is getting over 2 inches of water equivalent. And you can see pretty much there are only 2 areas now to keep an eye on. The upper Midwest here, and you can see some of these pockets of purple. We're beginning to get a little bit more significant snow in these areas here. And then also this is another one that's developed here in Missouri into parts of Kansas, and that's more significant water equivalent. Now, there could be some issues with flooding should that melt, but I think right now what's important is that these are not connected up into the northern plains. It's not one continuous snowpack. Right now it's fairly light over this region right in here, even though there's snow on the ground. It is lighter. Nebraska and Iowa is not as much, and it's not all that extensive. Now, there's going to be more snow in that region this week, and I think this could begin to fill in, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. But right now, I think there'd be more of a concern for widespread spring snowmelt flooding if this was more extensive. Another thing to keep in mind is that much of that region needs precipitation. Nebraska, in particular, into parts of Iowa, still need quite a bit of upper soil moisture recharge. This is the U.S. Drought Monitor update as of late February. There's been a very significant improvement over the southeast U.S. Even though the aerial coverage of drought is still fairly similar. This was a D3 and D4 drought not all that long ago, just a couple weeks ago, and over the last 2 weeks, very significant rain, and it's extinguished that D3 and D4 over that area. But still over the middle part of the nation, even though it's beginning to improve some areas, for example, you can see in this region right here, they had some significant snows, and it's really helped. There's still much more as far as ways to go to alleviate drought conditions over the middle part of the nation. There is a scattering of flooding going on, primarily over parts of Indiana and Illinois, and then over the southeast U.S. more recently. I wanted to point out that there are some points in flood. The flooding is most significant in the areas of red and purple. Purple's major flooding, a couple spots, and a scattering of minor flooding or moderate flooding, which would be the red. Sort of interesting. A month ago, this is an area that probably would not have expected this, but like I often say, things can change very quickly this time of year, and this went from drought to flood as far as stream flow goes over a short period of time. Now, the Arctic Oscillation, many times the numerical weather models have a hard time with the teleconnections out past a couple weeks. And most of the winter it's been doing pretty good. Just recently, I think it's struggled a bit. But right now, it does have a negative phased Arctic Oscillation and is forecast to continue negatively phased. Actually, it's been negatively phased since about the first week of February. Really has not gone back into positive, and that's resulting in cold air over large parts of the middle part of the nation and the eastern part of the U.S. So the big picture this week, we're having an alternating jet stream. Early this week is the blue jet stream. We will be having a pulse of atmospheric energy, that's that shaded area here, move down from the northwest U.S. into the central part of the U.S. and then curve to the northeast. That area is cold, so I do expect a significant addition of snow from parts of the Dakotas, across Iowa into Illinois and Wisconsin, parts of Missouri as well. Then by late this week, the jet stream looks like it's going to bow a bit, and I think that's going to mean alternating temperatures, initially quite cold, perhaps moderating as we get towards the latter part of the week. Sort of interesting to show you the surface low tracks forecast this week by the models, and the spread of those models, or the individual little points here. But what I wanted to point out is how much this aligns with these snow tracks that we've seen. This has so far been the story for this winter, where we had this upper Great Plains track. In the earliest winters moved into the Great Lakes, not so much this latter part of the winter. And then sort of from the midwinter to the current time, we've had this type of low track that's brought heavier snow in this region. Those have been the two primary tracks, and these are the forecast tracks this week. So it looks like pretty much a status quo as far as overall precipitation patterns go as we get into the early part of March. Now, I wanted to talk about the forecast for precipitation, rain, and snow this week. Early this week, I think the area to keep an eye on would be from the upper Midwest across the Dakotas into Iowa, Illinois. That's that band of heavy snow, but also other areas of heavier precipitation in the form of rain or snow over the far western U.S. coastal region, and then another area over parts of Virginia and surrounding states, as well as heavy snow in the upper elevations of the Appalachian Mountains. Now, if we get towards the latter part of the week, I just want to sort of bring to your attention again that area of Oklahoma into Kansas and perhaps even Missouri could become active once again with another low moving through that region. Okay, so the takeaway points for this week's briefing would be an upper snow over the Midwest, as I mentioned, quieting down over the southeast U.S., much quieter over the southeast U.S. than in the past. I will be updating my monthly briefing again next Sunday, and I will be getting out my newsletter over the next couple days. I'm running a bit late this month, but I will be getting that out within the next couple days. Thank you for listening to this week's briefing. I will be updating this again next week.